Hi, guys. Welcome to our podcast, A Court of Heaven and Hell. I'm Lauren, aka Heaven,
And I'm Ellie. I'm also known as Hel.
and we are a book podcast based on the romantasy novels by Sarah J. Maas, A Court of Thorns and Roses, Crescent City, and Throne of Glass. This episode will be covering the bonus chapters for the newly released House of Flame and Shadow. So exciting. Please check out our last episode where we gave our initial reactions to House of Flame and Shadow. And if you need a refresher on the Crescent City books, we also have 2 episodes that we've already released recapping both of them. If you're interested in hearing us talk about her other books, follow us for more videos where we will be reviewing and theorizing her other series, starting with ACOTAR. We're so excited about
I'm
that. This
wearing my
is like
ACOTAR shirt.
literally both of our favorite overall series. So, yes, we're excited about that. And then in our next episode coming out next week, we will be talking about our theories, foreshadowing, and different events that took place in House of Flame and Shadows. So make sure you check that out too, especially if you are just finishing the book like we are. I do want to give a little content warning. Please see our show notes below for content and trigger warnings. This is an explicit podcast and we do curse sometimes quite a bit. So I
A
do want to go
lot.
ahead and give you that warning as well. And I wanted to go ahead and give a spoiler warning that this episode will have spoilers for all Sarah J. Maas's books, all of them. Crescent City, Throne of Glass, ACOTAR, including the latest release, Crescent City 3. So make sure you're aware that this episode does have spoilers, okay? All right, y'all,
Cool.
let's get into it.
Okay, so for Crescent City 3, there are 5 bonus chapters, which is a lot, but it's okay because I will read anything that Sarah J. Maas writes, especially when it has to
Literally.
do with all of our favorite characters. And I will say, like, the Nesta, Azriel, and Bryce bonus chapter literally gave away such a spoiler. Like when Bloomsbury posted about
Oh,
it, like, some people, like, didn't know about the crossover, and it was like, "Oh,
right. Yeah. That was
oh."
like a
I
big,
feel so bad for the people who didn't know and they saw that, but
yeah, that was a big reveal.
so these bonus chapters take place in a lot of different timings. One of them is before the events of Crescent City 1, 2 of them are during Crescent City 3, and then 2 more or yeah, 2 more, they're post what happened in
After.
Crescent City 3. So it's a little bit all over the place. So how
True.
we're going to do this, I'm gonna start with basically going throughout the timeline. So I'm gonna start with Bryce and Danica's chapter, which takes place before Crescent City 1 even begins. And I will say, I think this might be my favorite bonus chapter, which is like kind of shocking for me to say.
Oh, wow, interesting.
I
Okay.
I do really like Ember and Randall's bonus chapter because, Nesta's in it, but Bryce and Danica's friendship is so cute to me. I really love their friendship. And this bonus chapter basically gives us a little bit more of an insight of like what happened the night that Bryce got her through love all is possible tattoo. And I really
Mm-hmm.
like getting able to see that because, it's been talked about throughout the last 3 books, this night
Yeah,
that they had and what happened. And it's just like, oh my gosh, we finally get to kind of see that. And I just love it. Um,
that's fair.
so yeah, so like I said, this is takes place the night that Danica and Bryce get their tattoos together. And it basically starts with Danica and Bryce, they're living together at this point, and Danica persuades Bryce to go out drinking with her. And Bryce is a little bit hesitant because she's like, well, I have to work in the morning. Like Jessica is gonna be so mad at me, if I'm hungover, if I don't show up. And Danica is like, oh, come on, I really need to go out. Like, I need this. We can be back at like a certain time. And Bryce is like, okay.
Yeah.
Also, want to mention that they're smoking a lot of mirth root at this point. You know.
My people.
So Bryce is like, yeah, we can go out and get some food and some drinks, but I have to be back by 1 latest. And Danica's like, yeah, of course.
Come on, we already know where this is going.
You know, for sure. That's like every best friend. Let's go out for just a little bit. That's not gonna happen. But
Literally, come on, guys. You're not going to stay like that.
yeah, especially when it comes to Bryce and Danica. They like to party.
Yeah.
So they go out and they meet up with the pack of devils, which it's kind of cute to also see Connor a little bit more in this bonus chapter. And they're all drinking at a park and they're like, oh, y'all are gonna get in trouble for public intoxication. But Danica and Bryce are like, whatever, we're just gonna go inside to a bar and like go dancing. And so they split up with a pack of wolves and they go inside to the bar and when they're at the bar, literally Danica is shooting back so many shots. She literally has so much to drink. I don't know how she does it. But we kind of learn a little bit more about why she's kind of struggling. We learn a little bit about her and Sabine. They didn't have a great relationship, but I think they probably got into an argument or something before this night happened. And she kind of just wants to let loose and be with her friends and forget about it. But when they're at this bar, this guy comes up to Danica and is all like, oh, you're Sabine's daughter. And she's like, yeah. And he's just like, well, I'm here to kill her, whatever. And Danica's like, okay, I don't
Literally.
care.
All right.
I think he said that Sabine killed some children or something, like
Yeah.
out in the
Sabine's
streets.
kind of a, yeah.
Sabine's a bitch. But anyway, she's just like, okay, I literally don't care if you go after my mom. She's a piece of shit. But after this whole bar scene, they're super drunk, they're super high. And Danica's like, let's go get a tattoo. At this point, it's 2 in the morning. Forget about Bryce needing to be home by 1. She's not going to be home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's gone.
She's gonna not be feeling great the next morning.
Literally.
So yeah, so Danica convinces her, like, let's go get tattoos. And so they go to this tattoo shop at 2 a.m., which I don't know personally of any tattoo shop open at 2 a.m., but
It's a 24-hour, a 24-hour tattoo parlor.
yeah, I feel like anyone getting a tattoo at 2 a.m. is probably not a good decision, but
Yeah. YOLO.
whatever. So they go to this tattoo shop and Danica asks the tattoo artist, can you mix in this powder with the ink? And she tells Bryce, oh yeah, it's like some wolf magic, something like that. I don't know. And Bryce is like, okay, cool. And they choose to get Through Love All Is Possible tattooed on them. And Danica wants to do it in a special font. And the tattoo artist is able to mix in the powder to the ink. And that's basically how it ends. And like Danica is super like, I love you so much. And they say light it up a few times. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically the bonus chapter. But I really liked it. I love their friendship and I just liked being able to see that scene. Yeah, because Danica knew, like she knew about all this. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I will say, unfortunately, I think I have a little bit of a different opinion on this bonus
Hmm.
scene. It was cute, and I do love that we get to see a little bit more of Danica, but it was kind of clear to me that she was going through some shit. She was struggling. And I don't know, like I I just wish she had been open with Bryce because I feel what she did was kind of not okay, if I'm being 100% honest. The way that it went down is she kind of got Bryce fucked up and then took her out, got her more fucked up, and then took her to a place to get a tattoo. It wasn't spontaneous. She already had this plan in place. She knew that she was going to be putting this super valuable, super important thing in her that could get
Hmm.
her in trouble, get her hurt, like affect her a lot in the future, even though, she probably thought that she was able to keep it secret. But it just kind of seemed kind of reckless to me. And the way that other people were reacting to it and other people were reacting to Danica, it kind of showed that at this point in her life and in her friendship with Bryce, she was making reckless decisions. And I don't know, it was cute, but it kind of just like there was something about it that kind of rubbed me the wrong way about just the fact that she was basically knowingly lying to Bryce and she manipulated her into doing this thing. knowing what her end goal was, but not being honest with Bryce. And it just kind of like, it sucks because like I want to love their friendship so much and I want to love them together. And I do think that she was Bryce's best friend. And I do think that she thought she was protecting her. But getting this bonus chapter did kind of like make me be like, damn, she really kind of did that in not the best way. I don't know. I don't know. Cause like Bryce was like, no, I don't want to go out. And she was like, please, 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 please. And then she brought this special ink to the store knowing that she was going to get her messed up enough to convince her to get this tattoo. And I don't know. I don't know.
I
Yeah, I just
mean,
had a
that's a
little bit
good
of a different
point.
experience about it.
That's a good point. Danica definitely had her secrets and like she wasn't perfect, but I
Yeah.
I really do like their friendship.
Yeah.
They were just really close and well, I
Yeah.
guess kind of close because Danica did definitely keep a lot of things from her, but it it was I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
Yeah.
I
No,
just liked it.
I get what you're saying. I don't think that there's anything wrong with liking it. I did think that it was cute and I did think that it was really cool to get to see this kind of last little bit of friendship between Danica and Bryce because we really didn't get that much of it in Crescent City 1 due to kind of what happened and how quickly it happened. So I definitely did enjoy getting to see that little peek into their friendship. But yeah, there was just a part of me that was like the way she did this was kind of very like because
It wasn't
she hadn't gotten Bryce high and gotten her on or like gotten her really, really drunk. I don't think Bryce would have agreed to get the tattoo in the first place. So it's kind of like I don't know. And then she was like, "No, I don't want a tattoo. My mom's gonna kill me." And Danica was like, "Oh, come on, whatever. You're a grown up now." It just felt kind of manipulative. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I understand why you like it, and I do understand Danica's perspective too, because I do think that the reason that Danica did it was with good intentions, and I do think that the reason she kept it from Bryce and kept a lot of these secrets from Bryce was because she wanted to protect her. But she was keeping secrets from everybody. There was definitely a clear part in the chapter where she was talking to Thorn, and we know that Thorn was in love with her. And I mean, I really think that the reason that like she had that little moment with him and looked at him like that was because she was already with Baxine at this point, but nobody knew that. And so she was definitely keeping a lot of secrets and had a lot on her, like a lot of burden on her own shoulders to protect her pack and her best friend and whatnot. So I get it. I get Danica's perspective. But yeah, I do wish that I could have like enjoyed this chapter a little bit more. But just like I was like, I don't know. There's just something about that whole thing that I was like, Danica, do better. Be honest with Bryce. She'll understand. She will. So I don't know. I don't know. But I get why you liked it. It was super cute.
Okay, so the next bonus chapter was Nesta, Bryce, and Azriel. This takes place during House of Flame and Shadow. We get another bonus scene of when they're walking through the caves of the prison. It's kind of a short, it's actually pretty short bonus chapter. Nothing super significant happens in this bonus chapter. It's just kind of for fun and maybe to see a little bit more of the group's dynamic.
Yeah.
But Nessa, she tells Bryce about their war with Hybern and how he made her and Elaine go into the cauldron and become High Fae. And Azriel was like, yeah, also Nesta like beheaded him. And then Bryce was like, oh, okay,
She's a
like that's
badass.
yeah. Bryce Lee was like, that's kind of badass. But anyway, and then Bryce tells them a little bit more about her world and how there's a lot of hierarchies in the Fae. And during this, she also talks a little bit about her mom, and they get into this whole conversation about their mothers.
Yeah.
Nessa talks about their mom, and she was like, "Oh, my mom would be so pissed to see where I'm at right now because I'm a high fae, I'm a warrior, I'm married to a freaking Illyrian warrior." Like, and Bryce is talking to her about Ember, which is cute. And then there's a little moment where Nesta's like, "Oh, Azriel, you never really talk about your mom. It must be because like she sucks." And was super like, "Actually, my mom is anything but bad." And
Right.
it's a little moment and Nessa's kind of has this reaction where she's like, oh, I didn't mean to, offend him. But
Yeah.
anyway, so then they're kind of walking through the cave, and Nesta's like, so your phone, she's like, you mentioned that you can play music on it. And Bryce is like, yeah, I can play something for y'all. So she plays them different genres. Nesta's really into it. Azriel gets into it, even if, he tries to hide it.
Literally, that part was so cute.
Yeah, and the whole bonus chapter is just Bryce like playing this music. And we know from Silver Flames that Nesta loves music, and Cassian gave her this like, I forgot what it's called in Silver Flames.
Symphonia.
Yeah, that like plays music or whatever, but this is a whole other thing that she's like, wow, oh my gosh, this is so cool to see. They also have a little bit of a conversation about mates. Bryce asks Nesta, oh, do you have a mate? And she's like, yeah, I have a mate. And then she asks Azriel,
Mm?
which poor Azriel. Oh my gosh. And
Can
he
somebody
says,
get this guy a freaking girl, please?
seriously. Yeah, so she asks Azriel about his situation, and he's like, no, I don't have a mate and I'm not with anyone. It's a very short conversation. But I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Change soon, buddy. Don't worry about it.
I hope so. I really hope so. But anyway, yeah, they just have some cute moments when they're talking, and it ends with them enjoying Bryce's music, and Azriel and his shadows are kind of bopping to the music.
That was so cute. I love that part. Literally, his shadows were dancing in the background. That was funny.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It was like a fun bonus chapter. It didn't really give us
Yeah.
anything super new, I guess. We do learn that like Azriel's mom isn't a piece of shit, but
Yeah.
that's I don't know what else really learned from
That's like the
that.
big. I will say that, okay, so we did learn that he's not with anybody, like you said.
Right.
He's not with anybody from the time that Silver Flames is over. I kind
Hmm.
of didn't really anticipate him to be with anybody, but it's to have that confirmation definitely did happen. We get to see Nesta and Bryce bond a little bit, which I think will come into play because I do think that eventually in future books, there's going to be maybe potentially another crossover, and that Nesta and Bryce will be friends, because this book was like not was a little rough for them based on just the situation they were both in. But I think that going forward, I think they will
Yeah,
have a good friendship just because of like Nesta's willingness to help. She literally saved her planet by, help, like giving her that. Oh, well, let me know. Bryce saved the planet. But Nesta did definitely give her like a helping hand when it came to
hmm
that. And then it was just super cute. It was cute seeing them get to experience technology from the future, the good parts of it, not just the terrible, deadly parts that she showed them in the spear, the Veritas, whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I did think it was super cute. It gave a lot more context to I do understand why it wasn't in the actual book, because that part in the cave was long enough as it was already.
it was.
I'm happy that it wasn't in the actual book, but I do like the little bit of perspective it gave us into, their bonding. I do feel like it pushed me a little bit more towards your opinion of them becoming friends, because I was of the opinion that they were kind of tricking her. So everything that they bonded over during that time, I was kind of questioning, because it's like, are you bonding with her, or are you trying to get more information out of her and get her to trust you? But this scene did give me that feeling of, okay, these people, they have a lot in common. This is a cute moment. And yeah, our friend was telling us like, this is the most we get of Azriel speaking in any book
Literally.
ever. So this part was just so cute to see. He has this little fun soft side. He asked for like the club music specifically when she asked what they
Yeah.
wanted to play. And I was like, oh, Azriel the club rat.
Oh
Okay,
my
like
gosh.
cute. That's so funny. Dude, when I tell you I cannot wait for Azriel's book, I
I
hope
can't
that the
wait.
next book, all I know is that I want Azriel to have a bigger part in the next Akatar
Me
book, whether he
too.
ends up with Elaine or not. Because I do think the book will be Elaine's perspective, just because we got Feyre, then we got Nesta. So I do think it will be Elaine's perspective, but I hope that Azriel gets some good moments in this book, no matter how it ends.
All right, so the next bonus chapter also takes place during Crescent City 3, and it's from Ember and Randall's POV. We get a little bit more insight of what happened when Bryce and Hunt put them in Prithian. and kind of how this unfolds. This is probably going to be the most discussion that we have about a bonus
Mhm.
chapter because, yep, there's stuff that happens.
There's a lot to break down in this one, guys.
So they're, obviously Bryce opens this portal to Prithian and she gives her parents to Nesta and Nesta gives her the mask. The portal closes and her parents don't understand what Nesta's saying because they don't speak the language, obviously, but Nesta is trying to oh, by the way, Randall has a gun. Okay. There is a gun in Prithian. And Nessa is trying to talk to them, but she's like, oh, they don't understand me. So she's kind of signal to them, like, chill. And I guess Ember kind of picks up on it. And Ember tells Randall, put your gun down. And she keeps kind of glancing outside and they kind of are noticing darkness creeping. All of a sudden, all the fucking windows break. Happens. Rysand basically used his power to break the fucking windows. When that happens, they see Rysand really mad at Nesta. Nesta ends up giving them the magic bean that we talked about in our previous episode that helps them understand the language. Now they can talk their language. Yeah, that's magic bean. That's the answer.
Hey man, one of my favorite, but it works.
I mean,
Y'all
I
can
honestly,
understand each
I
other.
I will say from an author's perspective, I don't really know how else I'd make that work either. Unless it was a spell, but I guess it might not translate too well in ACOTAR because no one can kind of make people speak a different language. So I guess the magic bean was the way to go. I don't know.
I think personally, I probably just wouldn't have put the language barrier there in the first place, if I'm being
Yeah,
100%
but
honest.
I will say
Because
I
it's
guess
still a different language than the ancient Fey language that is on what's her name's back. Because
Bryce.
remember, Bryce, because Amren's the only one who recognizes that language. I don't know. It just got really
I don't know
complicated.
either, but
But
anyway.
anyways.
So so they're understanding what's happening now because they can understand their language. And Nesta's telling Rysand that she had a right to give Bryce the mask because the trove answers to Nesta. Yeah, they're listening to it. And Nesta's like, well, Bryce has the honor of being heard out. And I think she says this because of, what happens in the cave and stuff. I think Nesta does have an appreciation and respect for Bryce after that. Because she's like, oh, this girl's kind of a badass too. And she literally tricked her and Azriel and was smart enough to do that. And Azriel and her really big warriors, that's saying something about Bryce. She knows how to handle her shit. Amren's there and Amren's kind of, y'all should talk later. Let's try to figure out what to do with Ember and Randall, who are just kind of, again, just there what's happening? We're in a new fucking world. And this man is freaking out and this girl is trying to defend them. I don't know. It's crazy. And Amren's kind of just well, they're just humans. We can take care of them. And Ember gets kind of upset and she's just I'm so tired of people say the humans are weak. And shout out to Ember, period. And Amber's kind of oh, I'm sorry. And Rysand was kind of yeah, she didn't mean that. Whatever. So Bryson starts talking to Ember and Randall, and he's just well, I've heard how Bryce is, how she is soft-hearted but ruthless. And Randall makes a joke, yeah, imagine all of that bundled up in a 1-year-old when we were raising her. And Rysand kind of chuckles at it because I think he can relate because, obviously him and Feyre just recently had a baby.
Mix.
So they probably, he probably understands a little bit. Okay, so after this, Rysand is okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow, Nesta. Meet me at dawn. We need to have a conversation about this. And Ember and Randall end up staying at Nesta's house, the House of Wind, for the night. And we get a little bit of a conversation just between Ember and Randall. They're talking about what's going on back home, how they're really concerned about Cooper, which, if you remember, Cooper is a meal that Bryce ends up saving in Crescent City 2, who was Sophie's brother, but now he's called Cooper.
Yeah.
And Ember and Randall basically adopted him, and they're oh my gosh, he's back in Avalon, but they're okay, he's in good hands. He's with Fury. He's with all of them. Bryce did this for a reason. We trust our daughter. We trust that she's going to beat the Asteri, which is fire. So the next morning, Ember and Randall are eating breakfast, and Rysand, Cassian, Nesta, and Azriel get back to the house. And they're outside about to walk in, and they see Nesta's kind of like, ugh, and Rysand's still kind of yelling at her. And Ember is just super like, it's a little bit early to be biting other people's heads off to him.
Yeah. I love Ember.
And Rysand's super, he like, defends himself, whatever. And then she starts to kind of ask him, what type of person are you to be mad at Nesta for giving like my daughter a chance to save our world? And anyway, so after all this little dialogue, Rysand says to Randall, I don't know how you're still standing when you have a daughter like that and a wife like that. And I guess bonds over that. And Nesta and Ember are like, oh, I guess males in every world is the same. They'll always rant or whatever about their mates, I guess. I don't know. And Ember is kind of like feels bad for Nesta, and she's like, look, like let's eat breakfast together. And she asks her a little bit about her mate Cassian. And Nesta's a little bit sad, and she's like, yeah, unfortunately, he's like the one who's the most mad at me about this. So that's kind of how the chapter ends. I will say in Crescent City 3, we do get a post bonus chapter in the book where when Bryce is going back to Prithian to get her parents and return the mask, we do see like Cassie and Nesta and Ember and Randall are all like hanging out together. And Ember says that like that Randall and Rysand like bonded over being dads and stuff. So I'm assuming that something happened where they all, I guess, made up. But there is a lot of things in this chapter.
So a few things. So you got to start from the beginning, obviously, because listen, I'm a Rysand girly, okay? I love Rysand and I love his relationship with Feyre. When we are in the actual book portion of this, when she first drops Ember and Randall off, we get from Bryce's perspective that she notices that there's a shadow kind of closing in as she's closing the portal or whatever. So I had a feeling that he was coming and that he wasn't going to be happy. But him bursting through the windows and literally like rupturing them and breaking the glass, it was over the top. Okay, I get it. You're pissed off, right? You're rightfully so pissed off, in my opinion. You have a reason to be upset, but you haven't heard out her side. You don't actually know what's going on. You're not being aware of the fact that there's people in this room that can be hurt by what you're doing right now. You're overreacting, okay? And that's hard for me to say because what Nesta did is a serious thing. Me personally, I think she made the right decision, but I do think that if I was Rysand and I didn't have all of the information and I just knew that she gave this girl who gave us the okie doke and stole our sword earlier and opened this portal exposing us to these creatures that we already had to banish once, I would be pissed too. So I understand why the inner circle is upset with her, but I don't understand the level of non-anger management that we have going on here. Then also him yelling and screaming at her, knowing that they've given her parents these magic beans and they can hear her. He starts screaming about how she should have slit her throat and she should have been swinging ataraxia at her as soon as she opened the portal and all this stuff. It's kind of okay, dude. Like, we get it. You're upset. Calm down. Also, take into account that Nesta's clearly not doing this because she's trying to put your world in danger. Nesta just sacrificed her powers and part of her livelihood not a book ago to save you and your wife and your son. You gotta calm down. I do think that there is a little bit to be said for the fact that, I don't know if you mentioned it, but when Rhys is talking about, like killing Bryce and, giving her, I do think there is a level of exaggeration to that, because even Ember, when she comes into the room afterwards, she says to him, you don't have to worry about killing Bryce. When I see her, I'm going to do it myself. So there is a certain level of this is exaggerating, but the fact that he was so angry when he said it, it's kind of, okay, dude, I said, calm down. But yeah, I don't know. So I teeter back and forth because I do think he had a complete overreaction, but I'm not ready to just throw him out with the bathwater, because I do think a lot of what he said was just out of anger and initial reaction. At first, when I was thinking about it, I did think, I was like, damn, I bet Reese really would have tried to attack her. But I don't know. I like to think that he would have immediately captured her and then, been like, what the fuck, and basically put her back in the same position that she was in when they first started out at the beginning of CC3. But I don't think he would have killed her. I think he was just mad and talking shit, basically. But yeah, this isn't a good look for Rhysand. He's definitely done a few things in the last couple of books, especially from getting to see him from other people's perspective without Feyre's rose-colored glasses on, or his own perspective. There's been a couple of things that I'm kind of, from other people's perspective, you're not doing the greatest, but it's also tough because I think seeing a lot of the stuff that he was doing from Nesta's perspective is also kind of skewed, because Nesta had such a dislike for him that, of course, everything he did from her perspective is also going to be almost in the way that Feyre is going to have him with rose-colored glasses. Nesta's gonna have him with black-colored like glasses, and just everything he does is gonna piss her off. So neither of them are exactly what I would call reliable narrators. But Ember and Randall, I mean, in my personal opinion, they are, especially. Well, Crescent City's weird because there's not one specific person whose point of view we're seeing. But yeah, I don't know. Definitely wasn't the best look for him, but there has to be something said for the fact that the rest of the inner circle is also upset with Nesta. So it's not just him. But yeah, Rhys needs some therapy. He needs to get in some anger management classes. He needs to, he needs to offset some of his responsibility on Feyre, so he's not carrying the world on his shoulder. Cause yeah, he's doing some shit that's okay. Like, come on, bro. And while I will say that what I said about Nesta's perspective being skewed, I do also agree with that. But one thing that can't be skewed and was totally wrong was him hiding the fact that Feyre was at risk from her. And so that's not even like a Nesta's perspective thing. That's just an action that he did that was not okay and he should not have done. So I don't know. I get it. You're trying to protect her, but lying to her and withholding information from her is not okay. So I don't know. Rhys
Yeah.
is not in my least favorites, but he is having a hard time holding on to that favorite
Um,
character spot for me.
yeah, I mean, so it's also hard for me because I do really like him in the first three ACOTAR books, but I think that is because we're seeing him from Feyre's perspective. I love him with Feyre. I think they're good together, but we've seen him now from Nesta's perspective, Ember and Randall, and Azriel and the Silver Flames bonus chapter, and it's giving me a little bit more of an opinion of him. I hope he makes up for it. I don't know, we'll see. I know I said this earlier to you before we started recording, but it's like I'm not upset that he got mad at Nesta. I can't understand their perspective. Like, oh, you said you gave over a very powerful weapon to someone who could potentially open a portal and bring in all these people that we already were trying to get rid of before, but it's I'm more upset about his reaction to it. It just was a little aggressive, and I don't know. So it wasn't my favorite moment with him either. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with him in the future. I don't really think that Sarah J. Maas would make him have a villain arc.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I am one of those people who, like, even though I love Rhysand, I actually don't advocate for how he behaved in the first book.
Oh, me either,
I
dude.
think there was
That's
a lot.
problematic.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of stuff that was just kind of like, okay, bro, there's only so much we can justify our actions by acting we're protecting somebody. Because I
Right.
do get that it's kind of similar to the Danica thing. It's like, you are protecting these people, this person, and your intentions are good, but you cannot lie, withhold, manipulate, trick people into like doing what you think is best because it's your opinion. You just can't. Like him getting her drunk on fairy wine and having her, dance and doing all this stuff. Like, it's like, okay, that's like, it's like, I love you, but that is not right when it comes down to it. Now, I will say the first time I read ACOTAR, I didn't even think about that shit. I was just like, oh, I love this man. Like, I love this man.
Oh,
And Akamath, he could do no wrong. Okay.
I'm really excited to do our ACOTAR breakdown because we can talk so much about that, and
Yeah.
it definitely will be brought up, but I don't know how to feel about him. But
Yeah.
I really, 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 really love that this book did kind of show us a little bit more of, I know I'm being so annoying, but a little bit more about like Nesta and like
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
like how she's like growing into a person. I was just like, I was so nervous, y'all,
Yeah.
that she was gonna end up
Yeah.
being like a terrible person again. But I think that she has really changed. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. If anything, when it comes to Nesta, I'm actually kind of worried about her because, we all know that in the first 4 books, Nesta was like one of my least favorite characters as far as
Yes.
non-villain people. Like she 100% was probably at the top of my list of non-villain. I mean, well, okay, let me not say that because technically I don't know if Tamlin's a villain. He teeters, but he's at the top of my list. But Nesta was
Yeah.
right there under him. But in Silver Flames, Nesta does her journey and her like redemption. She's not perfect, especially in the beginning. She definitely still
Hmm.
has some rough times. There's some rough conversations between her and Cass, but I understand her now and I respect the hell out of her. And I do think she's a good person. There's no doubt in my mind that in her heart that she's not a good person. I don't personally see her having a villain arc in any way. Like, whereas I could see Rising possibly having a villain arc. I don't want it to go that way. But like, Sarah has just been dropping some stuff that makes me be like, are you like, I think I text you and was like, it almost makes me question if something's going on with him. If like there's a parasite that makes you mentally like, I don't know, because it's just
I don't
like
know either.
there's been some things where I'm like, this is not the man who was like, free Feyre, don't pity, like, don't pity the people, pity like that. I'm just like, this, where did the switch up come? Because you were willing to sacrifice yourself, you were willing to do so many things, and it just seems like a lot of these things, it's like I would have never expected him to lie to Feyre about the baby. I just would have never expected that from him. So, like you said, we
Same.
will get into it more when we actually do our ACOTAR breakdowns and deep dives, but I don't know. He's still nestled right in there. He has the potential to come back into my favorites, but yeah, Hunt has very easily knocked him right out of it for me. So yeah, I don't know. We will see where it goes. I love him. I like a morally gray character. I don't have an issue with that.
Hmm.
But it is tougher when they're morally gray towards the people that like you like and care about too. And it's like then it puts you in a tough position to be like, damn, whose side am I on? So we'll see. We'll see
We'll
where we go
see.
from here with him. And like I said, I do take into account that Nesta's perspective of him in Silver Flames through most of the book is probably a little skewed as well. So I have to take this with a grain of salt. But yeah, 100% not condoning his behavior in this bonus chapter. Wasn't okay. Like, nah, I'm not here for it. You cannot act like that. You need go see a therapist, bro. Go talk to somebody. So
Dude, for real. And I'm over here like, in Crescent City is mentioned they have therapy. So I'm like, can we bring that over to ACOTAR? Because I
yeah.
think these people would really benefit from it.
Yeah, literally. Talk to Feyre, talk to somebody, bro, because you're bottling up and you're losing it. And I do think that Reese has a lot of secrets and a lot of things that he's keeping from everybody. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the pressure of
Hmm.
knowing these things and it's getting to him. I don't know, but I do know that you can't lash out at the people that you love and care about because you're going through shit. That's why I had
Right.
such an issue with Nesta. So there's no double standard there for me anyways. So I have to acknowledge that his bad behavior isn't okay either. So yeah, I love him. I just, come on, we have to admit that it's not okay.
Right. Like, it's okay to admit that your favorite character wasn't the best.
Yeah, like I
It's
said, if
like,
you're
Nesta fucking sucked, but I still love her.
1000%, it's like if you're gonna hold this against Nesta and act like her being lashing out at people and acting in a certain way wasn't okay, then you have to fucking say the same thing for Reese
Hmm.
and it's or even Tamlin. As much as I don't think that what Reese did was as bad as Tamlin because of the reasoning behind it, he still did it and it's still anger management fucking issues and you still need therapy. So we'll see what happens. But yeah,
Well, okay, so the next two bonus chapters take place after the events of House of Flame and Shadow. So we
Mhm.
get to kind of catch up a little bit with some characters, which is nice. So the first one I'm going to cover is Bryce and Hunt's bonus chapter. I will say this probably was my least favorite bonus chapter.
Yeah, which is
I
crazy
mean,
coming from me, but yeah.
it yes, it was cute, it was lovey-dovey, but it I don't know, it just wasn't super exciting, but it is a bonus chapter. Like sometimes bonus chapters don't really give us too much information, but
Yeah.
so basically it happens again after the events of Crescent City 3, and it is winter solstice, or I think it's actually the day before winter solstice when the chapter starts. They are at Ember and Randall's house. So we get a reminder that Ember makes these Cabbage Patch dolls. Like,
Yeah, literally, that's literally what they are.
it's what they are, okay? It's just like how
My Little Pony
yeah, My
is
Little
jelly.
Pony
Yeah.
is Jelly Jubilee. It's the same thing. So she makes Cabbage Patch dolls, and Bryce is like, oh, this would be so funny because I'm going to stick all these figurines that my mom makes on the garland when we go into this celebration. I'm going to be like, woo, this is my offering. And Hunt is very creeped out by these dolls. He's not for them. He kind of hates them. He's just like, what the fuck are these? Like, he's just very creeped out. We do learn that First Light is still around, which I guess is kind of important,
Mhm.
but it might not be around for too much longer. Because if remember from Crescent City 3, since Bryce and Hunt kind of blew up like the First Light because that's what the hysteria was feeding off. Now,
Mhm.
like the city isn't really run by electricity anymore. I mean, it kind of is, but it's gonna go out at some point.
I
They're
am
gonna.
interested in
Me
that. Sorry, to see
too.
what that is, because since they don't have to make the drop anymore, since Hypaxia came up with that serum,
Hmm.
and because like they basically electricity was the first light, I'm just very curious to see where that goes in the next book.
Me too.
But
I'm like, are they
anyways,
gonna go back to the old Fae ways? Are they gonna find a way?
there's no fucking way.
They're gonna find a way. Let's be real. So they go to this celebration with her whole family, and we don't really see the celebration. We just kind of cut to the next scene, and they're all walking out of the celebration. Ember's kind of mad, and because Bryce pulled her little stunt with the garland and the Cabbage Patch babies, whatever. And we learn of like a random character that her mom is friends with named Millie Garganos. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the last name
I think that
right,
was
but
perfect.
whatever. So when they get back to Ember and Randall's house, Bryce and Hunt are outside and they kind of just have a moment where Hunt sees a flickering light in the window and he kind of remembers when Bryce was in the black hole, and he just is like, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful we're still together and we're alive. And anyway, it's cute. So it gets cuts to the next morning, which is actually like winter solstice. I guess it was kind of winter solstice eve before. And Ember and Randall are cooking and baking for a big feast where they invite again this character named Millie, and she's an older lady. And Bryce Bryce tells Hunt, oh, by the way, she has an angel fetish. And she was like, she literally
Don't
has
we
a
all?
calendar. She has a calendar apparently of angels, sexy angels.
Yeah.
And when she gets to Ember Randall's house, she is just whoa around Hunt. She won't talk. Apparently, she's a very talkative person, and she's just super like, and Hunt is so
Hmm.
uncomfortable.
Bring those wings over here, baby boy.
So we also learned that Jessica gave everything that she owns to Bryce. Oh
Mm.
my gosh, so Bryce is like loaded. She's
Yeah,
loaded. She
dude,
has so much
literally.
money. And Randall was like, well, because Bryce was like, what do I do with all this money? And Randall was like, well, why don't you give some of it to Cooper's college fund, which she does, but it doesn't, she still has
Not
all
even
this money.
close. She was the Autumn King's daughter. She was giving away property left
Yeah,
and
she's
right.
good.
Like, she's got it. She's good.
She's good to go. They also had a little side conversation about if they want to have kids one day. And they basically are like, We would too at some point, but we need to figure out the first light situation. And Bryce is like, yeah, I'm already really tied up with all the Pegasuses I now have.
I can't. I love this. I loved that at the end of the book. Happy.
The very end of the chapter ends with Hunt and Bryce exchange gifts. Hunt gives her a jelly jubilee, and it's really hard to find them.
Aw.
It's a super rare jelly jubilee. And Bryce, I can't. She gives him a Cabbage Patch doll that her mom made that looks like him.
I love it. I
This
love it.
man literally gave her the greatest gift ever, and she's like, here is like your worst nightmare.
I actually love that. I love that.
And ends with them having sex. Anyway,
Of course, because Bryce and Hunt are in the same room. So what else will happen? Duh.
you're
They
so right.
spend a whole book not having sex. They get to have all the sex they want now.
That's so fair. That's so fair.
Oh my God.
Anyway, do you have anything you want to say about that chapter?
No, to me, it's kind of like the Nesta and Azriel bonus chapter. It's just cute. It's not like
Yeah.
imperative to the story. It's not like it would have changed anything, or affected anything. Obviously, there is like, a tiny, tiny bit of important information that gets dropped with the whole first light situation. But other than that, it's just super cute. It's the vibes. I'm here for it. I would be okay if like all of Hunt and Bryce's like little moments in the books going forward are kind of just like this, just cute shit to let you know that they're still around and they're living their best lives, but they're not really involved in this shit because they've been through a lot. Okay. The two of them have been through some shit. I mean, the trauma that both of them have to carry with them from the stuff that they've been through in these 3 books is just, even Bryce, she may not want to admit it, but I know that the whole Autumn King situation probably weighs on her a little bit more than she would want to, or the fact that she killed Morven even after he yielded, even though he clearly deserved it. So yeah, as much trauma as these two have been through, I'm just happy to see them have a happy moment. And I liked it. I thought it was super cute. I'm here for it. It's of course the exclusive edition that I got. It's the bonus chapter. So whenever I reread this book and I just get to have that little moment of like, oh, like they're doing okay. They're gonna be all right. And their relationship is so cute to me. So
Right.
was it my favorite? No, but it also kind of was up there just in the like feels category.
Yeah, I will say, I think my second favorite chapter is this next one. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. Okay,
Yeah, this
Lydia.
next chapter made me literally tear up.
Oh my gosh, Lydia and Ruhn's bonus chapter. I just
Mhm.
want to say, I love them. I
Yeah.
really hope, I don't think they're gonna get their own book, but if they did, I would be so happy. I love them. Like
Yeah.
I'm a Ruhn girly. He is my favorite guy from Crescent City. And that also is because like Hunt is literally Lauren. So like I feel weird.
Yeah, I'm a little obsessed, but it's okay.
I feel weird also being obsessed with Hunt, but no, but honestly, Ruhn is my guy. Like the second we met Ruhn, and he was described as like this guy with very long black hair and tattoos and a leather jacket. I was like, this is my guy.
Yeah, without a
So
doubt.
no,
From
he's
the
my
jump,
type.
she was 100% on him. So
I will say, I seriously started reading Crescent City because I saw fan art of Ruhn.
yeah.
And
And
I was
there's
like,
some
yeah,
good fan art out there, you guys. Go look for it. Okay. Look on Instagram. There's
we
some
have like a
good fan art.
stories like highlight portion of our Instagram, and we have so much fan art that we put on
Yeah.
there. Yes, I
Check it
love
out.
love fan art. So anyway, so Lydia and Ruhn's chapter is precious and perfect and amazing, and it also takes place after the events of House of Flame and Shadow.
Yeah.
So they're out shopping for art for their apartment because if you remember, Ruhn got them an apartment, and he also made sure that her sons would have a room together.
I love that
Oh my
part.
gosh, I
Ruhn is such a good guy, bro. I do love him. I love his relationship with Bryce. I love his relationship with Lydia. Oh, I love Ruhn.
I mean, even though he shot her, it's fine.
Listen, it was one bad moment. It was one bad moment. If I can
Literally
get
one
past
bad moment.
Rhysand, then I didn't.
Dude,
We're
Ruhn, I don't
cool, Rune.
care.
Me and Rune are cool, okay?
We're good. I love this man. So they're out shopping, and we get a little bit more context about how controlling Lydia's dad was in her childhood. She wasn't allowed to decorate. It was always what he wanted. So she kind of is like, oh, like I'm not used to being around art and being able to choose what I want to decorate like my home with. We also learned that Ruhn is now Commander Danon of the Crescent City Ox, because remember Bryce, like, yes, she dismantles
The royal
everything in
houses,
Crescent City.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a slay. We love that for her because she was very against all of that because it really showed like people being power hungry.
Yeah.
So they're out like, shopping, and Ruhn is kind of annoyed because he keeps having Declan and Flynn call him. And he was like, no, this is my time off with my girlie, and we're trying to spend time together. We're going out to dinner. He literally says we're gonna have sex for 10 hours,
He does literally say that.
which I'm like, I don't know if that's physically possible, but
Well,
good.
they're Fae, bro.
Oh, true,
They
but
got different shit
good
going
for
on.
you.
And both of them are like complete Fae now that they've taken the serum. So who knows what they
So
got.
if anyone writes a fan fiction, send us a link.
Yeah,
But
please send us the link. Thank you. Please.
because I will say there are like scenes were kind of not very smutty. I need more.
Yeah.
I need more.
It tiptoed into it because this book
Yeah.
wasn't about the smut. It was just there. It just let us know that they're there. And they had their mating moment, obviously, because it's always during sex. So
Yes. I know. I'm like, wow. Okay, so yeah, so Declan and Flynn keep calling Ruhn, and they're like, it's an emergency. We need you to go to the garden and Five Roses. And Ruhn is like, why can't you call Hunt or Bryce? And they're like, oh, well, they're on the Depth Charger, which is the Ocean Queen ship. And he was just like, "Oh, I guess we have to go." And Lydia's like, oh, okay, we'll go. So they go to this park and we're walking, and like, they have this little moment. And Lydia, like, it's just, I just want to let you know, I love you so much. And I want to get married to you. Oh my God. And Rune's like, you want to get married to me? I want to get married to you so bad. And she was like, well, what if we do it right now? So this whole thing was a setup that she put together. And so they go to this park, all their friends and family are there, like literally everyone, like Bryce and Hunt, they're not
everybody.
actually on the Ocean Queen ship. They're there. Her sons are there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And all of their besties are there. So they have a marriage ceremony. It's so cute. And they have like a cute little first dance moment. And it's just precious. I really loved this. I love that they're together.
Yeah. Yeah, there's there's not much more to say about this chapter. I'm trying to think. One thing I did want to like just mention about this chapter is like what the Sarah J. Maas, bro. I like she knows how to write. Like she writes the amazing dad. The way that I love Randall so much is just so cute. And then she knows how to write a shitty dad. She got you got the meh dad who was the Archeron dad who like didn't step
Hmm.
up until the end, but he had his little redemption moment. And then you've got the straight up evil dads. You got Lydia's dad, you've got Bryce's dad, Bryce's and Rune's dad. And then you've just got this like beautiful example of what a dad's supposed to be in Randall. And it's just like I just want to say that I appreciate that she is such a good writer and writes these characters and touches on, these different not even tropes, but just these different types of people that exist in the world because, it's not always going to be a good dad. It's not always going to be a terrible dad. It's not, sometimes people just have meh parents that are absentee but still love them and care about them. And so I don't know, I just wanted to take a minute to appreciate that because when I was reading that part of the book, that's one thing that stuck out to me. I was like, bruh, how do you go from writing Randall Salago to writing Einar and Lydia's dad? It's just, I don't know, it's so interesting to me. And then poor Aelin, who doesn't have any parents at all. But yeah. And then obviously it's just so cute. Lydia and Ruhn being a couple in their relationship is probably one of my favorite parts of CC3. I wasn't quite sure how I felt about Lydia at the end of book 2, just because of the situation we were in. And I didn't know, what she was really going to do in that situation. But the way that their story unfolds in this book, and like for me being like, Ruhn, you big dummy, let her into your fucking mind. Y'all are about to die. To, him learning about her kids and accepting it, never doubting her for a moment, just being there to support her, them opening up to each other. Their sex scenes are, you're right, they're not very smutty at all, but they are just so sweet and so intimate, and just so that added layer of, because of how she has been treated by Pollux through so much of her life, to see him react to that, and just how
I
sweet he
know.
is, and how like perfectly he handles the situation. It just, how can you not like Ruhn? Yes, he did fuck up when he shot her in the leg. There's no denying that. But I think all in all, even when he made that decision, he was trying to protect her, which once again, I love all of you men. I love you all, but can you stop hurting the women that you love, and the like, to protect them? Can we think of any other way? Could you have tripped her? Could you have restrained her? I don't know, anything, but run faster than her and shut the door. I don't know, but I just like, but anyways, he made up for it. She forgave him. I forgive him. And I will just say, I was saying, it's just Ruhn is just, he's so like, the way he treats Lydia, the way he talks about her, the love that they have for each other. I'm so happy she finally gets her love story after having such a messed up past. And the same for him. He hasn't had as much of an issue in love necessarily, but just also understanding having a terrible parent, bonding over that. They're both such strong people. He didn't even bat an eyelash at her having kids. It just, the whole thing. I love their relationship, and I really, really hope that in the books going forward, we get to see more of Lydia and Ruhn. I don't know if they will have their own book, but I do hope that they get some standout time in any books that are coming forward. And I also hope that for Bryce and Hunt, just, in a different kind of way, because like I said, I feel like they've already had their story. Their story has been not fully explored, because there's always more to go off of, but their story has been pretty fleshed out at this point. So I would love to get to see some more of these other couples that I see, like, well, Lydia and Ruhn are just straight up, mated couple, but also, just Perry and Ethan, and possibly Therian and Ariadne. I'm just so excited to see where these like other little couples and this flirting and all these different things go. So yeah.
Yeah, I fucking love these books, dude. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're,
obviously, we started a fucking podcast about it, but
yeah, it'd be pretty weird if we didn't, but
oh, they
but
just make me so happy. I just love them.
I
Oh.
know. And that's why, like, if you guys don't agree with any of our opinions, I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to make everybody happy. We're people, we have our own thoughts. We love these books.
Mhm.
But I don't think that they're, I don't think any character is perfect. So I like, I know that Resand is like a big like a big love of a lot of people, and he's a big love of mine. He's still one of my favorites, but I just think we have to be fair and be open and honest, and that's what we're here for. So I hope you guys enjoyed our discussions on today's bonus chapters for CC3. Our next episode of our podcast will be about any theories, foreshadowing, different events that we want to focus on more that happened in CC3. And we highly encourage you guys to send in any thoughts that you have on the matter. Please, send in anything you want us to talk about, any of your own theories, any events that we maybe didn't touch on that you want us to touch on, because we really want to get you guys involved. And we also, we want to know what you guys want to hear. There's more things that we'd be happy to talk about. So send those over to either our email, which will be in the description, or DM us on Instagram if that's easier for you. I do want to let you guys know that after our Crescent City 3 theories and foreshadowing video, we will be diving into ACOTAR finally. We're so excited about
So
it.
excited.
These are some of our favorite books just
Hmm.
ever. They're the
So
books that brought
excited.
us back into reading. They're the books that like got us into the Maasverse. They're
Hmm.
They have such a special place in our heart. So we cannot wait to start on ACOTAR. We are going to do the first book in 2 parts, even though there isn't parts in that book. So we're going to split it up and do it into 2 episodes. And then the following books, we probably will go by parts. We haven't 100% made that, 100% decision yet, but keep your eye out for any announcements on that, as well as an announcement on us launching our Patreon. That will be coming soon. We're excited about it, and a Discord to go along with it. So keep your eyes out for that. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. If you're listening on a podcast app, rate and review us. Please feel free to DM us, comment on any of our content on Instagram or TikTok. We love talking with you guys about this stuff. It's so much fun for us. We had such a good time doing this. Our first month was very successful for us, and we're just so excited to see about like where we're going forward and all the new friends that we've made. And we want to continue to grow this community and continue to grow with y'all. So, drop a comment. Let us know what your thoughts and opinions are. We want to talk about CC3. I know that there's a lot of people that probably have finished it that don't have people to talk to about it. Let us be those people. Talk to us about
Yes,
it.
I will talk
Like,
about this. I love
yeah.
talking about this. Like, I only want to talk about this. That's the thing.
It's a straight up personality trait for us. Just ask
It
our
is.
friends. Like, we somehow every time we're around each other, we're talking about this shit, and we'll talk
Straight
to you
up.
too. Like, so you may not always agree with everything that we say, but we want to talk about it. We want to know why you feel that way. We might change our opinions. We're very open. So, just, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, let us know how you feel, reach out to us. We're always happy to hear from you guys. And then finally, as always, we want to leave you guys with a quote. This is from the bonus chapter with Ruhn and Lydia, and it is, "I'm grateful too for all of it, the good and the bad, because it brought me to you. It brought us to this, to right now." All right, guys. Bye.